but nobody other than you.
Listen, I just listened to a panel with some comedians on The Hollywood Reporter, like William H. Macy, Ted Danson, some big names, Kumail Nanjiani, Kevin Bacon, and they all admitted that farts are funny, no matter what.
Welcome to the Backpack Show, where Chris Brogan names comedians that some of whom you've heard of and some you haven't, and we're just going to keep doing this.
Listen, it's a business show, and the reason you can know it's a business show is because you come in the middle of a fart statement. Welcome to the Backpack Show. So glad to have you on. Carrie, we have one guest today. We almost never have just one guest, but we needed room.
On purpose, one guest. No,
we need room. Well, right. Sometimes we get one.
Performer overslept.
Yeah.
No. Stand-up comedian Ashley Storrie, and this happened. I broke up laughing before we even went live, so I apologize in advance. It might be a rocky day for me, but you know her as the host of the Ashley Storrie Show on Radio Scotland, and she's on Up For It on BBC Scotland. I binged clips from Up For It this morning, and so I'm already primed for another giggle fit. So apologies in advance.
Backpack Show.
Good morning, Coach Woodard. Chloe's here. She's one of our full-time Scottish people.
My biological father, Steve, in Brogan, is here today. Hi, Dad.
Do you have other contenders you've never mentioned?
No, I just thought it would be a really funny way to say it. Hey, Rajesh.
Fuzzy's here.
And Fuzzy's here. Chloe's here. Chloe's back on station. We warned her that there'd be a Glaswegian here. So
we can thank Chloe for this because she introduced us to Janie Godley, and then through Janie Godley, we discovered Ashley, who I love.
Oh, Ashley's such a treat. All right, let's just drag Ashley's story on because otherwise, there'll
be a riot.
We'll just talk to ourselves, and I just want you to have a reason why you could be laughing. Ashley's story. Thanks for being part of it today.
Hello.
Doing comedy with your mom. How's that going?
She's away just now, so it's great. I've got the house to myself. Well, my dad's here, but he's depressing in his bed, so it's lovely.
So I just saw a clip of you booing her as she was accepting an award.
I love booing my mum. I love it. I love heckling her. I think that's how I got into comedy. Was I used to go to gigs and I would sit in the audience as a kid and she would tell a joke and I'd be like, not funny. And then I would just heckle her impetuously and it's great.
And they were like, we need her on.
Yeah.
And the real heckling, the you didn't set it up kind of heckling is always such a grind for certain people. And some people, it just throws them off their game. And I've watched your mom deal with hecklers, so I kind of know how that works. But I love that, in some ways that was your in, because that would seem like the opposite of an origin story for a super comedian. That seems like, not the way you get bitten by the radioactive spider.
Do you know what? I did comedy when I was a little kid. I was one of those comedians kids who got on stage and was like, I'm a comedian. And then I quit when I was 13 because I had one boob and it was bigger than the other. And I was very self-conscious about that situation. And then when I was in my 20s, that's when I started heckling mum.
When you evened out?
Did your boobs catch up? Is that what happened? Okay.
Not really, no. Mary Kate is still a lot smaller than Ashley. And it's weird that I've got a boob named after myself, but that's a whole thing. Anyhow. I would heckle my mum and other comedians would be like, you should get up. And I was like, no, I don't hate myself enough to be a comedian. I'm too chill. And then I gave in and now I'm a comedian.
Nazim likes your accent.
Oh, thank you, Nazim. It's a great Scottish accent. I'm putting it on. Like I'm actually from here and I'm actually just doing a bit as a Scottish lady. But
you really from Brooklyn?
The only thing better than translating a Scottish accent in real time is hearing Europeans try to be American.
It's this lady. It's this lady. I don't know who she is, but this is the only American accent I can do. Don't look at my daughter. That lady.
It's good.
She's got a lot of hands.
Jewish mom from maybe the Bronx. That's what I'm getting.
Long Island? Not Long Island?
Long Island. It could be Long Island. I've always been told that's where the real...
It's a trash heap.
It's much better than my Scottish.
Oh my goodness, that was Indian. That wasn't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't care.
I was supposed to be the one that didn't crack up this morning. I was going to be the grumpy old
thank
dad.
you. Thanks for being mature about it, Chris.
All right, listen,
Great.
by the way, Jack Vincent's comment.
Do that again. I need to hear that Indo-Scottish accent one more time.
You kinda make me.
Oh my God, you sound like you're on a Jamaican bobsled team now.
That's a shame because your Jewish mom from Long Island was excellent. So I'm going to have to work on this.
Thank you.
I'm going to watch more clips.
No impersonations whatsoever, so I got nothing. Kip, by the way, I checked the link and it worked. See brogan.me/BP live. It worked fine. So, feel free to share it with all your friends.
Fozzie agrees Long Island. Sure. Yeah. Still have bad accents on parade.
Listen, let's make this into a business show for a minute. It's tough times, of course. It's the COVID, and everybody's locked down. And Scotland, it's an incredible spiky journey. I mean, there's only one country that I can think of off the top of my head that's doing worse, and that's us. But that means you can't go and perform live. But you haven't been so much, girl on the mic at the stage that often anyway, right? Like you started into Twitch and got pretty heavy on that side, being a digital comedian. Is that so, or am I just making it all up?
I was doing a lot more online content before I was on stage. So videos that I did specifically like the if stuff was Scottish. So if Harry Potter was Scottish, if the Handmaid's Tale were Scottish, I did those before I was actually doing stand-up. And those kind of did well for me. And I do a lot of online content for the BBC. So I existed online before I existed on stage. And it's kind of an easy place to fall back to. I only started Twitch because of the lockdown, but it's been a revelation. I know friends who are comedians who have also just joined Twitch because of the lockdown, who are kind of not looking at going back to live stand-up, who have found a place they feel a lot happier as a performer. So
I'm trying to make some sense out of this question. Wind power, are you a big fan? Oh gosh. Wind power, are you a big fan? Oh, that's the best response. On command, no less. So
we'll give you a minute. The Americans operate on a delay.
Yeah. The other thought about doing that, being sort of like a digital online creator, it's so different, right? Because stand-up, it's call and response. You have to take your lumps when you're not doing so well. You have to accept that the crowd isn't always right where you are. Whereas you're digital, you're doing it a different way, and you're making these little bits and clips. Obviously, there seems to be a preference for certain people. Tell me just a little bit about that.
I like both. Like I like the thrill of being in front of an audience and having them laugh and having that interaction and having those moments where you can completely cohese with a room full of people and find something so silly, funny, and really enjoy that moment. But I also enjoy making a thing online that some 15-year-olds who's doing our A-levels and has to read The Handmaid's Tale can get a break from that dirge of reading that harrowing book and have a laugh, or some woman who's in her 80s who's never really got into online stuff before has seen that video and now she's like, oh, that's funny, I'm gonna get into that. And I love, on my Twitch, there's a lady came on who's her name's not Max Borland, but her son's called Max Borland, and she used his Twitch account to come onto my Twitch, and she spent all of his bits just making my mic shout boo at me, but she just had the best time. And she's like an older lady, she's never been on Twitch before, but she got to experience that and be part of a community. And Joan, who used Max's account, got to be part of something, and it was so nice to have all those people embrace this lady who had never done anything like that before. And I love that about online. Online gets a bad rap because there's a lot of trolls and mean people, but there's also such a community spirit of people who have always been outsiders welcoming in new outsiders who didn't know this place existed. And that's my favorite thing about being online.
I've completely moved from TV to digital during lockdown. Some amazing Scottish streamers out there who are amazing.
Hashtag Roscoe. If you have never seen Roscoe on Twitch, he's on Up For It with me, and he is the person who got me into Twitch, Roscoe McClelland, and he is so good, so weird, so magic and high energy. So yeah. And
Jack Vincent says, I always do my accents best when I think of somebody from that place. Yeah, I'm not saying it. Nope. I'll say Space Ghetto.
Space ghetto.
Yes, say it. Right. Let's all be quiet. Each of you take a turn. Say space ghetto, but make the T soft.
Space ghetto.
Spice ghetto.
Space ghetto. Space ghetto.
They're saying spice ghetto in a Scottish accent.
Welcome to Scottish lessons, everyone.
Yeah, welcome. You're going to learn good Scottish.
Veronica says, I've downloaded so much since Ashley. I Twitch, I Discord, so really words I relate to.
Oh, that's
Scottish
interesting.
Twitch is so much fun. And we're getting crazy jokes over here from Knuckles 80.
Knuckles is just going for it. Ashley, when the community thing, like you say, so Twitch does have a stronger community element than some of the other places. Like, YouTube, you get the flotsam and the jetsam. With Twitch, you definitely get that experience of people who have chosen to come by. Sometimes they're putting real money down where their mouth is and all that. But as a creative and as an artist, you have to do some fan service, but obviously you have to just really stay to your art and stay to your form and have your bad days and your good days. How does that work for you? How do you balance that in your head and all that?
I've always lived kind of out there for everybody. I started a podcast like 7 years ago with Mum. My mum's talked about me on stage since I was in puberty. I went through puberty on stage. I've kind of always lived out there, and I'm not a great listener. I'm not, when people have problems, I'm on the autism spectrum, so usually when people talk to me, I'm just thinking, what am I going to say next?
I'm just from Boston, and I do that, Ashley.
So I'm usually just pretending like that I'm invested, and I'm not good at listening. I try hard and I try to listen to people's problems, but that's not what I can offer the world. What I can offer the world is I can live out there and share my problems and share the things I go through so that other people don't feel alone, because I know how important that is to me. When I see somebody who's on the spectrum, or somebody with anxiety, or somebody, when I had bad acne, and there was a lady who had bad acne on YouTube and she would talk about it, and it just made me feel less alone. And I think that's what I can offer. So bad days, good days, irrespective, I think I live it all out there, and I hope that it at least makes somebody else feel less like an outsider, because I'm in there as well.
Why Twitch versus TikTok, asks Fazia.
TikTok is a dick talk. TikTok is a weirdly mean environment which thrives off people reacting poorly to videos, and it's something that doesn't get spoke about, but you can see like kids getting clout for being mean to people who don't need anybody else being mean to them, and there's not enough interaction. Twitch, I can see you in the chat, I can interact with you, we can have a back and forth. If you want to continue that, you can join the Discord. There's a more community that you don't get with TikTok. I mean, I'm on TikTok, I upload clips from other things to TikTok, but I wouldn't sit and actively make TikToks because it's not my cup of tea.
I deleted somebody's TikTok because they had my mom's email address. And so I changed it, and they kept doing it. So I deleted it finally. And there's a 13-year-old somewhere in Ireland who's very sad right now. Just so you know. I will own that. Nazim says, not a TikTok fan. So he's there for it.
You validated him.
Karate Mate is in your chat, who's a huge Twitch celebrity.
Oh. Well, he can break some boards for us maybe sometime. I mean, that might be a...
Well, Twitch, yeah. I would love... I can't. My kids are on Twitch, and I checked you out last night, Ashley. That's the extent of my experience with it. Yeah, I watched you get your hair caught up in your antlers.
It's a great place. I can't recommend it highly enough. And it's not just gamers. I think that's the missell on Twitch, that Amazon missell it as they say, oh, it's a gaming place, but it's not. They've got people like Squilky, who's in the chat, who does crafting. There's people who do, like Roscoe, who mainly just spends a lot of his time dancing and doing some strange movements with like bits he's made, and there's animators and artists, and it's like walking into somebody's workshop and watching them like carve a statue out of wood or something. It's an insane, wonderful bazaar of fun times.
He says, don't listen to her. I'm not a Twitch celebrity. I'm not a Twitch celebrity. I'm Optimus Prime.
Right.
And then more jokes from Knuckles.
I sold scratch cards for an eczema community.
So is it easier or harder having a parent in the business?
For me, it's easier because I'm not very good at socializing, and she's always a good entry point, and she's not good at business schmoozing, and I'm better at that. So we kind of support each other a lot, but I can't speak for everybody. I just know for me and Mum, it works really well. That if we didn't work in the same industry, it would probably be harder for both of us. But because we're in the same industry, we fill in each other's deficits.
So you put business schmoozing in a separate category from socializing. That's interesting.
Oh, 100%. People who don't do that are in the wrong.
I have to really like people, though, is the thing, because you can tell if I don't. I know because I've tried.
To business schmooze. It's a fakery. It's you're putting on a character. It's very good for me because of the autism spectrum. I like to live as a character, so I'm on my business schmooze character, and it's great. And I know what I'm doing, and I've Googled people beforehand, and I know what I'm doing, and that's great. Whereas Mum's more like, oh, let's be friends and let me listen to your problems.
Right, and you're like, I don't need that. I'm good.
Yeah.
Actually, you said something that just kind of I've heard an echo of more so since COVID and all that. And I think that is because so many people suddenly have to be on camera. So many people, for even their just regular old dumb job, are having to face on a Zoom somewhere. You said that when I do business schmoozing, it's easy because I can get in that character. I can push a character between me and it. And being on the spectrum, the character has rules that you understand because you set the rules. So you can work in those rules. Is that how you see that? Is that how you feel that? And is that what gives you the comfort? Is that it's not Ashley there right then? It's Ashley's character, the business schmoozing person.
100%. That's like not just for business, for everything. There's very few places where I'm not in some sort of a character. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm being fake. It's just I've got whatever I'm doing. I've got those sort of, like you said, parameters in my head. It's like more of a script or the stage directions I'm following, and it's just a means for me to get through social interactions. But for business schmoozing, it's a lot easier because we know why we're there. We know that there's an end goal. We both know that that's what's happening here, and that's like in a networking situation. It's always good to go in with that sort of mindset, which is why I feel very uncomfortable in networking situations which are framed like a party, and like it's not a party.
You're like, I don't actually want to hang out with you.
Let's not have nibbles and cocktails. Let's just interact and swap details and like workshop ideas and things like that. That's great. But when it's like, oh, we'll have cocktails and then maybe discuss, I'm like, no, I need to know exactly where we all stand at this.
You want to go right back to the room, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, forget all the build-up.
Let's get there.
Get back there. How did you transition from stand-up to radio to TV? Because you've got that show Up For It, which kills me, and the Ashley Storrie show on BBC Scotland Radio. So how did that happen? Did you schmooze?
No, radio-wise, my producer saw me do stand-up, and they were doing this thing on BBC Scotland where they were wanting to have more women on the air. So they had like a whole big roster of different female comedians like myself and Fern Brady, and we would get like 3 weeks every 6 months on this slot on a Friday night on the radio, and for 3 weeks every 6 months it would be ours, and everybody kind of just played it like, oh, I'm here for 3 weeks. But I remember the first time I went in, I said to the producer, how do I get to keep this? Like, what do I have to do to tell all those other people to go away so that this is my slot? And he laughed, but we like clicked, and we started building lore, which sounds super weird for a radio show, but we started building like characters and bits and lore so that when I returned it would be more impactful. And we always had it in our mind that I really wanted that slot, and we just worked really hard to get it. And then that's Paul Bridges, who's like essentially my creative partner. He also makes Up For It, and we just like really worked hard towards that goal. And then when we got it, we were like, right, how do we keep this? How do we grow it? How do we make essentially a dead slot from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. on a radio station, which is mainly people in their 60s and 70s? How do we make that a bit more vibrant and bring in new audience? And we just really work hard at it.
We hear you can sing.
What? Oh, yeah.
Veronica says you could really belt it out.
Yeah.
Apparently, you got some lungs when you want them, Ashley.
I do. You can listen to my one-woman performance of Les Miserables, the whole musical, on Twitch.
Oh my gosh!
So, if things were Scottish on your Twitter, every single one I've found, I have to watch it at least like 4 times. So whatever else I'm doing is going to have to wait. When did you start doing that? And was it inspired by Americans like me who cannot speak anything in a Scottish accent without sounding ridiculous?
So the first one I did was if Harry Potter was Scottish, and that was completely born. Thank you, Squilky. And that was completely born of not feeling very represented in anything. Scottish people, when they're in specifically American television shows, are played by English actors. If you watch The Haunting of Bly Manor just now, there is a man doing a terrible Scottish accent in it, which makes my whole butthole clench every time I hear it with uncomfortableness. It's the most awkward. Oh, we're going down the street to see a thing. I don't know what he's doing, but it's like he's never met a Scottish person before, which I know he has because he's an Englishman, and it makes my tummy hurt. But there are some weird renditions of Scottish people. There's a guy in an episode of Sex and the City who's supposed to be Scottish, and it is one of the most offensive things I've ever seen in my entire life. He's like,
the only offensive thing on Sex and the City, I'm sure.
Nothing else was bad.
Nothing else is offensive on that. But yeah, I wanted to imagine, what if Scottish people were allowed in films and television? Wouldn't that be fun? And then I just made my version of that.
And you ran with it. So I'm going to play just a tiny bit of it if the Handmaid's Tale was Scottish.
And just what happened is all the rich people couldn't have babies anymore, and that's a pure shame. Like, I feel bad in that, but I don't know how it's any of my business. And they were like, "Go have to go around the rich woman's house and lie in between her legs and let her husband pump you, but you're not allowed to look in his eyes." And I'm like, right, I know that's like what your Jesus wants me to do and all that, but I can't get it off if I didn't look in somebody's eye. That's my thing, is eye contact. And then they were like, "You're going to get scalped for being a cheeky handmaid." And I was like, right, everybody calm down. Last week I had a job, and now I apparently don't, and I'm not allowed to write or read. I'm like, well, I never fucking liked reading in the first place. But they're like, aye, but you're not allowed. And I was like, but I never did. Am I allowed to watch Netflix? No. Well, now I'm pure raging. But they gave me this big hat, and that was good because I never had a big hat before. Just had normal size hats.
That was right there when you said just a normal size hat. I pretty much pooped right then.
I'm going to tell you right now, when Mum filmed that, she didn't like it. She didn't think that sat in my hard drive for about a year before I posted it, because Mum was like, "I don't get it. I don't think it's funny." And then
so funny.
That's my thing. Handmaid's Tale won the Emmy, and I was like, "I'm going to post this. I want to post this," and it wasn't even based on the show. I've never seen the show. It was based off the book, so
right.
Like, I don't even know. And so then I posted it, and the lady who directed the pilot episode, who just won an Emmy, she retweeted it and she liked it, and I was like, "Ha, Mum, you were wrong." And that was a great day for Ashley.
There's really nothing. There's nothing better than that, I think.
Jack says it's not a normal size hat. I don't know what you're wearing, Jack, but you'll have to show us.
I want to go back to something that I read a little while back, because this is a perfect time to bring it up, which is Tom said, Ashley's Twitch is great, especially during lockdown, because it's like hanging out with pals. One thing I feel about that Handmaid's Tale joke is that it doesn't hit with your mom because she didn't maybe know it, or she wasn't connected to it, and she had no real feel for it. But for people who read it or whatever, that they had a feel for it, or even just that sort of sense of a character of like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now. We've done that, right? Like, people have had that moment in their life where you're like, well, I guess this is my life. Okie doke, and you have to live with your shit. Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from. But I've been thinking about Tom like that far back, like 11 minutes back in the show, because you go, a criticism or a sort of a misconception about autism is that there's no social connections or whatever. It's not that it's that they're hard, and they're so harder to get to. But you go right for marginalized people, minimalized people. You go right for the person who felt the worst, and then you say, well, I'm here now, so at least there's the two of us feeling the worst. We're good. Is that Is that a goal? Is that, I mean, why is that? How do you do that?
I think that there's like a businessy side of it, and there's an emotional side of it. And the businessy side of it is, that sort of idea that the geek shall inherit, that there is a huge slew specifically of women who don't feel catered to within the communities like Twitch and online, and it is a kind of scary environment sometimes. And just not even women, just people who are a bit weird and people who don't fit in, and somebody needs to entertain them, and I can do that. I can do that job. I can fill that gap in the market. And in an emotional side, I know that there is so much I wish that when I was a kid I had been able to look at and go, oh, I see myself. Like, I see Lizzo singing, and I think if when I was 21 Lizzo had existed, how different my life would have been, and how much more discourse about loving my body I would have had. And maybe I wouldn't have started like choking down diet pills when I was 19, or things like that I think about, that if there had been somebody who was living themselves out there and living themselves proudly, flaws and all, when I was a kid, how much better that would have been for me. And I think if I can live out there, flaws and all, and be your friend and be that person who says, even like body stuff as a woman we don't discuss, that I started talking about in comedy shows, and women would come up to me afterwards and be like, I didn't know that other women had that. And I would be like, oh yeah, no, that's a normal thing. Specifically, like, I'm so sorry on your show to say this, but it happens. Cervical mucus is a thing.
Are you kidding? If it wasn't a thing, there'd be a lot of disappointed guys there.
Essentially, like, once a month, this like thing that looks like, the glue that holds a credit card to a letter when you get a new credit card sent out, comes out your vagina. Once a month that happens. That happened to me in China. I was a teenager. Nobody had ever told me that was going to happen. I thought, I'm dying.
I mean, they probably just couldn't find the right time, Ashley.
Somebody should have said, somebody should have warned me. I thought, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Somebody phone my parents and get me picked up from Shanghai because I have a rare disease where I am producing glue out my front bum. I phoned my mum and I was like, Mum, you have to get Dad to come to China and pick me up. I'm dying. And she was like, oh no, that happens to everybody. And I was like, why did nobody tell me that? And then I started talking about it in comedy, and other women were like, I thought that was just me. And I was like, no, it's all of us. There's a thing that happens to all of our bodies that nobody mentioned. Nobody thought. I know about wet dreams. I don't have a peen, but I know what goes on with a peen because you guys get to talk about it all the time, but we discuss our weird glue production factory. Suddenly it's, oh, that's disgusting.
And everybody's off. Yep.
But you put yourself out there in every way. Like, I watched a clip from Up For It where you talk about a blind date and how the guy didn't acknowledge you when you showed up and tried to pretend it was him. You just put it right all out there.
I panicked because I've been talking about, I went on another blind date with a man who turned out to be my cousin, because it turned out my uncle had a second family that we didn't know about. And I said to him, oh, we're cousins, that's bad. And he was like, oh, well, it's technically not illegal. And I had to just like leave because ew.
Technically not illegal is
so blind
really the start of a dream.
That's what you want to hear on a blind date. It's technically not illegal.
That's a t-shirt to be made, I think.
Front bum is another t-shirt.
Ross Parker says, yeah, it's brilliant to see autism and weird people being represented by Ashley. You're a pal. Wendy says, I love how candid you are. I'm feeling, telling the untold. I wanted to bring up somebody that I wonder if you've seen her around, because in some ways you made me think of her the minute I saw your work, which is Celeste Barber from Australia. So, so you know who I mean. So Celeste does these things where, like, Lady Gaga will be doing yoga on her stand-up paddleboard, and Celeste, picture down below, recreates this. So I'll show you another. So this is a model in a chair. Celeste in a chair. And then, dear husband, stop acting like you love it. Very similar picture. I think you could tell he's like super into it. So I think a bit about you, and I think that that bringing that light that some of the most sexy thing in the world compared to how humans interact with the world must be such great fodder for your storylines.
Yeah, I think that I look at a lot of human interaction and it seems really alien to me. And then I think when I dissect it verbally, people then go, oh no, that is really weird that happens. Like, I think it's super weird that when in relationships, people pretend to be less crazy than they are. And then at the beginning, and then only showcase how crazy they are once like they've got a mortgage. I think that's so weird. And I see my friends do that, and I'm like, why are you pretending you're not a mad person? That's so strange. That feels like real life catfishing. But I didn't know that everybody did that. And I thought that was I thought I just had really, really nefarious friends until I realized that everybody is just like, oh no, I'm really normal and insane and nobody knows about my doll collection. I didn't know that.
So you feel like you got to talk about mucus and stuff like immediately.
Get it out there. And if you can't handle me at my front bum glue gun, you can't handle me at my luscious lady with antlers. If you don't deserve me at my beautifulness, if you can't handle me with my glue gun.
I hate to say we have to take a quick moment of silence for ads and things like that, Ashley, but do with it what you will. You have about 2 minutes.
Good, I'll get my act together.
Oh my, no, you won't.
No, I won't. You're right.
Really
You're right.
Won't.
But come on.
What a treat, though. Listen, let's say some words really quick because it'll not come out if we don't. We are sponsored by Streamyard. You can make your own show just like this, and you can lure an unsuspecting Ashley Storrie in like a Pokemon waiting to be caught. See Brogan.me/Streamyard. Make your own show.
Hey, her mom had been on the show. She was completely aware of what she was in for.
She had a suspicion, I think.
Might not have known I'd go into a fit of hysterics, but I did warn her before we went live.
Authors. You've written an amazing book. I can't even believe how great your book is. It's so good. Your book is so good. I can't even.
I'm watching Ashley backstage. I'm
watching Ashley backstage. I'm trying to say words while she's like a cat swinging at a toy.
You've done the hard work. You've written the book. Now you need a website to promote it, or no one's ever going to find it in order to buy it and read it. Go to pub-site.com. They have everything you need in a fantastic website. It's super easy to do. You don't have to be techie. Very easy to put together your own website. But if you don't want to do it yourself, they can even do it for you. So there's really no excuse. Pub-site.com. There's a 14-day free trial. And after that, it's just $19.99 a month. So
you have to understand.
Get the site.
Get in the site. You have to I like that, by the way. You wrote the book, Get the Site. Oh, that's really good. Are you like writing ad copy right now? You wrote the book, Get the Site. That's good. Think about that. That fits on a t-shirt. You wrote the book,
well, so does Glue Gun.
Yeah, front bum glue gun. That's the other book. So, all right, we did our thing. Also, PubSite is sponsor of Person of the Day, which we are going to do our best to actually remember to do. We have a couple chit chats here. Let's see. I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Said either John Lennon or that Russian guy.
In my experience, you can only act a little nicer than you feel, so I gave up even trying. A long time ago.
Let's drag Ashley back into this. You just gained a new friend and Naz over in, where are you again, Naz? Milan, right? Milan. You never say Italy, you say Milan. So
you're back there giving us the signal.
No, I wasn't. I'm sorry.
Durka, jihad.
We were worried.
I vaped, and then I remembered that when I vape, that makes the camera focus go out, and I was like trying to get the smoke away, because it makes the focus go all wonky, and I was like, "Oh shit, no!" I realized, you could see me like
the Snoop Dogg.
I need a dispensation today, Chris.
I think that's fair. I listen. All I was thinking is, I'm thinking as we come back to where you just see the cloud, that's it.
Front Bum Glue Gun is the band name.
that could be. Hi, Melody McKinney. So my cousin Melody is here. It's a family.
Did you ever go on a blind date and find out who was your cousin?
She was my cousin. No. Yeah, she gave me my most significant scar in my life. But
thanks for coming by. Soft focus.
Ashley. One of the biggest things that people complain about with on the side of being a comedian or doing this kind of work is that, when you ever meet someone for the first time, they're always just like, do something funny. And it's the worst thing to ever say or do, right? But what is Ashley off screen? How close do you think you are to Ashley on screen?
Oh goodness, that's hard. I'm all over the place. Like there's not real one set Ashley. I think Ashley by herself is just sitting in bed watching old episodes of NCIS and then reading about how they all hated each other behind the scenes. Like that's my favorite thing to do, is watch programs where people hate each other in real life and try to see if I can feel that across the screen. So I've been watching the Lethal Weapon TV series because they hated each other, and I've been trying to like sense that from their acting. That's my favorite thing to do in my downtime.
Oh, you should watch Charmed, like the first time they made Charmed.
Oh no, first season of Charmed. Yep. You can feel the hatred coming off them. It's great.
Now I get why you're a Star Trek fan. I didn't have that fit in there, but now they just went at it again. George Takei and William Shatner are currently fighting. These people are in their 80s, both of them, and they're still taking swings from the cribs.
I get a lot of people don't like what let me just say that celebrities and people who are famous actors, I don't hold any weight on anything they say other than about their acting. I don't have any care about what an actor's political view is, because I'm like, I know so many actors, and if I took what they said seriously or their views, I have a friend who's an actor who believes in like fairies, so I don't really care. Like he believes in fairies and angels, and I'm like, you play very serious roles, but you also believe in fairies and angels.
Did you tell him it's just Uber Eats? Like that's who leaves things for you?
That's who the fairies are. Oh, Michelle says Trekkies forever. Even that became a fight because there's Trekkies and Trekkers. Kip says I blame the Tribbles. Oh, that's the trouble.
It's like the members of Pink Floyd who hate each other.
That's right.
I love Shatner. I love him so much. He's been a huge support in my career, which is such a weird thing to say.
That really is.
It's so weird, but he has been there from my first ever paid gig. When my radio show had its 2-year birthday, he listened in and requested one of his own songs.
Naturally. He's got so many good ones.
Remember when he had an interview show? It was like the weirdest show to watch. If you haven't checked it out, anybody watch it, you have to like look on YouTube for William Shatner's interview show. It would be this really weird, awkward, surreal experience where he would have what's supposed to be like a normal conversation with someone, and it just feels a little wrong. Yeah. John says, what's wrong with believing in fairies?
I'm sorry. Nothing's wrong with it. It's just not true.
No.
That's almost like that Jimmy Carr bit of like, Jimmy Carr will say, how many people here believe in ghosts and all that? And he goes, I'll help you out with that. There's no such thing. And he just like, he trashes, people's, paranormal opinions.
No, I'm sorry. Ghosts are real. Just fairies.
Oh, I see. Not fairies.
Oh, yeah.
Ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, and time travel, all real. I've seen 3 of the 4. Fairies and angels, no.
Maybe that's why we can never find Bigfoot, because he's time traveling.
Maybe. I swear there is a portal outside my house.
Is that why you always come home late from the shops? Is that what you're saying? Is that how?
That would explain a lot. Weird. We probably broke the timeline a bunch.
Let me tell you, right? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying it out loud. When I was a teenager, I was sat in my room with my 2 friends. I was explaining time travel to them. I said, if time travel is available in the future, let's set in our phones this time, this date. And if time travel is available to us, we will come back to this moment and prove to ourselves that time travel is real. And they were like, okay, were we imbibing in some form of herbal remedy at that time? Maybe. I'm not saying we weren't. We might have been. I'm neither denying nor confirming it. Anyway, I said, let's put that date in. We put the date in. We counted down to the minute. And outside my window at 1 a.m, a fat elderly woman set off a firework. That's clearly me from the future. There's no other explanation for why on a motorway a fat elderly woman would set off a firework and then run away.
Because she's high? I don't know.
No, it's me. Well, I might still be high, but in the future, clearly.
Yeah, future high.
Why wouldn't you leave yourself like a sports almanac or something?
Because
Like in Back to the Future too.
The rules of time travel. Obviously, I had to find a way around it, and a firework, no contact. I'm not actually speaking to myself or giving myself any information other than time travel's possible. Also, one time I looked out my window and there was a guy dressed like he was from the Civil War shouting, "I've been shot in the bum and I don't know where I am."
All right. What about Nessie? It's a legitimate question.
No, that's just made up so we can sell plushies to tourists.
Oh, I bought one.
Yeah.
100% bought one. I have kids. I had to. I also bought an Outlander t-shirt and like a little tiny wooden ski and do.
What?
I have
like
none of those
dagger
things.
thing.
The what?
This is like a dagger thing, like for my kids. And they were like,
she wants you to say it again, though.
No, I'm not saying it.
That was a trap. Ashley laid a trap.
Nazim says, blame Uber Eats.
I thought you said skidoo. So like you bought like a little, snowmobile.
Oh.
All I know is I paid money for it and they never used it to the extent of my knowledge on the subject.
I have to just say, if this is someone's first episode ever of the backpack, it is never like this. This is not the show.
Except for
except for yesterday or whatever day that was, 2 days ago, and then except for when Janie was on, and yeah. So other than that,
except for that,
I'm sorry for derailing your show with my great stories about time travel.
Oh no!
Oh, they're the best thing.
I'm here for this.
They're the best thing. See, you got to understand, right? So I'm in business, Carrie's in business. We do business and marketing stuff. And we talk to people who want to say words like maximize or optimize, or what was the one we hated? Oh, lean in. And what was my other one? You said it. Oh, pivot. Lean in and pivot. They say words like that, Ashley. So what we did when we started this show is we said, let's not interview all our marketing turd head friends. Let's go find creative
You said that.
people and interesting
I just said, I would like to talk to a burlesque dancer. I would like to talk to a professional dominatrix. I would like to talk to, then Chris booked a porn star and I said, I'm getting a nun.
Yeah, the minute I booked a porn star, she says, well, then I'm getting a nun.
I did.
As if somehow that was like.
Not like on the same show.
Oh,
okay. But I did do it.
And she was grand.
Paradoxically speaking.
Paradoxically speaking sounds like a perfect Scottish word to say too.
Paradoxically speaking.
Oh. So the thing is that there is business insight to be had from success of any kind.
Utterly.
Like from authenticity and resilience. Hi, Nancy.
We were talking about you earlier, Nancy, but thank you for showing up because it would have felt weird otherwise. We were saying, Nancy comes all the time and then she's not here.
Well, because Chris was like, we have 3 Scottish people that come.
And none of them are here. Then Chloe finally showed, so it was good.
We stop it.
Let's see. What the nun was amazing, says John Harrison.
Right. Sister Ann Flanagan, by the way, probably disrespectful.
Sister Ann Flanagan. It couldn't have been a better name.
Her Twitter handle is @nunblogger. So I feel like okay calling her the nun because I don't know.
Did you talk about Sound of Music with her?
She actually does. Well, we talked about singing. Yeah.
She sings in a choir and pretty good. Not so bad.
You know what, though? We missed a trick because we could have said, yes, she did sing. And so that means you have to as well.
I ain't singing.
Everybody.
If I start singing, it freaks the dog out and the dog starts howling. And then that'll freak my dad out. So it needs to be pre-prepared. It needs to be pre-prepared. Oh, no, Nancy fell asleep. Sorry, Nancy.
Afternoon naps. That's the best thing in the world. Mine is at 2 p.m., afternoon nap.
So does your mom boo you? Ashley?
No, very supportive. It's a very one-sided aggression thing. I don't know why. She's overly supportive and it makes me very uncomfortable because she's always like, my baby, my sweet, sweet baby. And she forgets to contextualize it with people who don't have prior knowledge that I'm an adult. So she will talk about me like I'm a child and then people will be hot. One time she left me on the bus. I was 25. But she left me on the bus and she was like, I've left my baby on the bus. And people were chasing the bus. And when I stepped off, people were furious.
My mom left me at a Friendly's ice cream restaurant 2 or 3 times when I was an actual child. And when I mentioned it to her when I was an adult, she said, well, I always came back. Always came back.
Like that was the answer. I always came back.
Mother of the year. So Karen says, but we love Honey singing, but I think the problem is that Ashley's dad won't appreciate it. Nazim says afternoon naps are a very Italian thing. I don't know. I could get behind that.
I'm practically Italian.
Right?
I call my afternoon nap a nooner.
Needs for a wee tune.
A nooner?
And I found out in America that means something different.
It's very different.
And I didn't know that. And I was openly on like TV and stuff saying, oh, I like to have a nooner. And I didn't know that.
And you had offers coming in and all your DMs.
Improv actor and comedian Dave Delaney, also sometimes businessman Dave Delaney, is here. So he was excited because I was, raging about you and he said, what's out there that I should be paying attention to?
Where are you based? Long Island, Dave.
Based in Long Island. Long Island.
Not really Scottish.
Your mom tried, Carrie. She tried. I mean, sure. Let's say that.
That's my other favorite thing is there's a guy on Law and Order Special Victims Unit who does this when he talks, and he's one of the newer actors, and he does a lot of hand acting, and I just like to watch clips of him. Don't know, just he's like, you need to go down.
You did some hand acting backstage.
The perp's down there. I just does some severe hand acting, and then I watch him in other things now, and he puts his hands in his pockets, and I wonder if somebody's told him to do that.
Yeah, maybe don't touch things as much. Yeah.
Who doesn't like a nooner?
Who doesn't like a nooner?
I love John Mulaney's bit about Law and Order because he says that no matter who they interview, like, the bartender, or whatever, that they have all the details as if like in a busy New York bar, they're like, yeah, I remember her. She was in Tuesday.
Nice lady.
Nice lady.
My favorite thing about Law and Order Special Victims Unit is Ice-T, who plays Finn Tutuola. He always knows what the young people are doing. So they'll be like, oh, they're into this thing called sheep herd. And he's like, yeah, it's where young people get sheep and then they take acid and they run about a field. He always knows what it is the young people are doing. He's like, they're into this thing called catfishing. Yeah, it's where they get cats and fish and they put them together and rub them on the genitals. He always knows what it is the young. There is a whole like montage of Finn Tutuola just describing what some weird niche sex act is, and it's so good.
Welcome to the Business Success Show.
Minus the blackface. Please do a Finn version of one of your If Scots Could Do Things. That's better than John Mulaney's impersonation. There's real questions here too. Naz had a question. Who's your favorite comedian apart from your mom?
I'm a really big fan of, there's a comedian who I love very much called Dulce Sloan. She's a friend. I think she's very funny. She does the Trevor Noah show. She did a little clip that came out, a little skit that came out when it was she played the 911 responder who deals solely with white people panicking about black people.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my friend Dulce. She's very funny. She's a great stand-up comedian. She's in a film just now called Girl Fight, which is coming out with Alec Baldwin. But she's a phenomenal stand-up comic. She has this bit about how after a show, she'll talk about how she's fat. And she says after the show, a white girl will come up to her and go, "You're not fat, you're beautiful." And she's like, "Yeah, the two aren't mutually exclusive. I've seen enough ugly, skinny people to know that." And it's this, she just does this great, she makes me laugh. London Hughes as well, a phenomenal stand-up comedian. If you could get a chance to see London Hughes, she's living in LA just now, but she's English. She's London based, but she's living in LA. And when she got to LA, Kevin Hart flew her out to Las Vegas to meet her because she's this like vibrant new. She's going to be the one to watch. I swear, watch her. She's very funny.
I feel like bucket list maybe it means something different than because you could watch this today. You don't have to wait. You could go look these people up and watch them right now. You don't have to add them to a list and wait. Don't wait.
Add them to your queue. All right, listen, we have to do a couple more business things and then we can do other things. So we have to do our person of the day. I am absolutely thinking of one person. I just have to go roll back and find. I really like
strict set of criteria for person of the day. Chris
I just
comes up with it out of thin air.
I just pick it. So I liked Squilky. I felt like Squilky was a really good supporter in your corner this whole time. And I think that was very nice. And I really enjoyed it. Plus, I learned that you can do pottery in Kulros if you want, where Outlander was filmed.
Oh, she's going to make you say that again.
Was it not Kulros? Is it, Kulros? I have to roll my R's more. Have to sound like
I went there and I wouldn't say it. They had a beautiful garden there that was on Outlander. It was like stood in as the herb garden that Claire has in the first season of Outlander. So yeah.
So
congratulations to our first of the day.
To an apple that's sponsored by PubSite, pub-site.com. That you can get an apple just like that. You just have to go to a store and buy it and eat it and enjoy it. It's apple season, so go get some. Thanks.
And definitely check out Squilky's Twitch because the crafting is so fun.
Cool Ross is much cooler than Nerdy Ross. Nerdy Ross, no one even invites around, but Cool Ross, he gets to some places.
See what I have to put up with. Where's the dad Joker clip when you need it?
Oh, well.
Where is it? Where'd it go?
Pardon me. Is it still not in the thing? It's got there. Wait. Is it
I did not know the dad Joker would be here today.
There it is.
That's our buddy John Bailey, epic voice guy, who does
amazing.
He does voices for shows like on the internet. He does Honest Trailers voices.
Oh, I love Honest Trailers. It's so fun.
That's him.
So that's the guy.
He does actual, movie voiceovers and stuff when they don't want to fly Ryan Reynolds back out or whatever to just like redo some lines.
He really does like Ryan Reynolds. He's like you just see this big guy that mostly does this really deep baritone doing Ryan Reynolds, and it's flawless. And
no, Chris.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
He does he plays Optimus Prime for a bunch of different Transformers projects, and there's the real guy who plays Optimus, and then there's this guy, and people have a tough time telling them apart. But that's got to be an odd gig, really, in its own right. Like to be the other, he's like the is Pepsi okay of Optimus Prime.
Whatever. No, for some people, he's the first and the best because it depends if they saw him, what they saw him in, because he's actually voiced it in things where it was just him.
Yeah, he was Optimus Prime in several. Bumblebee. I think he played Optimus Prime in the.
We're having this fight. We're having the John Bailey Optimus Prime best voice ever fight. This is happening today
with Haley Steinfeld. That incredible actor from Pitch Perfect. Ashley, what movie? You do all these things like imitate the Handmaid's Tales and Harry Potter and all that. And as you well know, they're never going to put Scottish people in feature films besides you, and who got rid of the accent somehow. I don't know. But what film would you make? What film would you make if they threw it at your feet and said, we got to make a new one? You're in.
Ooh. Oh, I wouldn't even want to be in it. I just want them to. I saw a little meme yesterday that made me go, ooh, and it was a remake of The Addams Family with Christina Ricci and the boy from who played in Bohemian Rhapsody, who played Queen.
Rami Malek, you mean?
As Gomez. And the two of them, somebody put the pictures together and it looked so cool. It looked so, because the animated, no disrespect to the animated Bring Back of the Addams Family, I did not enjoy. It was not my cup of tea. And I loved the Addams Family as a kid because, again, it's about misfits. It's about people who are weird, but how even though you're weird and even though you're different, you still have a lot of love for your family. And that was a beautiful thing about the Addams Family. It was that love that they had for each other, irrespective of them being crazy bad people.
Those are my relationship goals. They weren't bad people. They were so totally.
And they had their own moral standing. That was one of the best things is when Joan Arquette, John, what's the lady who played the serial killer who tried to kill Fester?
Oh, Joan Cusack?
Cusack, not Joan Arquette. Joan Cusack turned up and she was a serial killer and they were like, oh no, you're bad. I loved that.
She's like, we could have been such friends.
I love those levels of what's good and what's bad and your inbuilt morality. The original Addams Family films are amazing and I'd love to see a remake of them, but with a bit more heart and a bit more balls and a bit less sanitization.
They were so great. They had such great moments, and I'll shut up about it. But there's one where the kids run by, and the girl's chasing her brother with a knife. Wednesday's chasing her little brother Pugsley with a knife, and the mom says, "Is that for Pugsley I don't think so. So she takes the knife and gives her like a great big scythe to go chase him with instead.
It's so good.
Apparently. So good.
That
Little Mermaid, Ashley. People want the Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah, the Little Mermaids. I
Nick
had
says-
that was a character I did.
Pepsi's of the Devil. You did. It was so good. I could do this literally all day, and I could also scroll through your Twitter all day.
You got to roll around. So listen, there's one question that defines the show, which is what goes in your backpack. I think that's Inverness in the background. So what goes in your backpack is the question, which is, everything's just, all up in the air right now. There's no real solidity. There are no solid rules to a lot of things going on in our world. You only can carry a backpack worth of things, though. So either physically something in the backpack if you want, or something metaphorical like, hope or charm or whatever. What's one thing that Ashley Storrie would put in the backpack?
The one thing I think I would put in my backpack is authenticity. No matter what being yourself looks like, even if it's playing a character of yourself, that's still yourself. So whatever being you is, and whatever comfortable version of yourself you can be that, and be the most comfortable version of you. Because if it's right, people will find that, and people will want to engage with that. And it's better than trying to be something else, because we all have that inbuilt uncanny valley thing where we can sense just if somebody's not quite themselves but is close to themselves, and it's off-putting. So be 100% yourself, even if being yourself means putting on a funny voice and doing a lot of hand driving.
Ashley Storrie, you're so much more than what we even got to vaguely cover today, and I hope people really invest in the long experience with you. So grateful for your time. I did have one thought about, what you said about authenticity in the uncanny valley, is that my grandmother worked in an uncanny valley for quite some time.